top stories. Get the news before it's history in the morning.
Well, I believe that at 7:45 this evening, the Springbok national team, the team that's going to be playing against Argentina this weekend, will be announced. So looking forward to that and a whole lot more, because the countdown has certainly begun. And that is why tonight, the big reveal for the men entrusted to conquer Buenos Aires. But this is far more than just the test against Argentina, I can tell you that much. I mean, this is the final audition, if you want to call it that, before rugby's greatest stage, before the All Blacks arrive, before the haka, before the collision, though, that will once again stop two rugby mad nations on their tracks. I mean, can Siya the likes of Eben Etzebeth, you're talking about Lourdes de Jager, Sasha Feinberg and Gomezulu, can they simply prove that they're ready to lead South Africa into battle? I mean, is this the last piece of Rassie Erasmus's master plan before rugby's greatest rivalry explodes into life? So that's why joining us now and also live as one of South Africa's most respected rugby voices, independent media rugby writer, and also author of the Fireside Springbok, Mike Greenaway, to unpack the Springbok team announcement that we all are waiting with bated breath. What is it going to be? Hey, the challenge that's awaiting the Boks in Buenos Aires, and why this historic showdown, though, with New Zealand remains the greatest rivalry the sport has ever known. Mike, good evening and welcome to the show.
Yeah, good evening, Rob. Good evening, listeners. Yeah, good to be here. Yeah, it's we'll hear at 7:45 South African time just who is in that team, but we know who it is. It's pretty well illustrated already. And Rassie has actually said it in quite a nice way. He said, this is the final test before we play the All Blacks. And it is final, and it is, in fact, the last test before they play the All Blacks. But it's final in terms of a test to see where certain players are. And it's weird to think that players like Eben Etzebeth, Siya Kolisi, Lourdes de Jager, guys who have multiple caps are in fact going into a test to see just how they are. So the way it works in the Springboks is it doesn't matter how many times you've played for the team. You have got to show that you are capable of starting in a test match against the All Blacks or against whoever it is, and that you are at your best. You're at the level of play that made you that multiple cap Springbok. So, I mean, you've got Eben, who's on 140 or the most capped Springbok of all time. You've got Siya Kolisi, who is probably our best ever Springbok captain and also well over 100. These guys have got to go out and show Rassie in this test match that they can pass the test in terms of their performance and in their health. So, yeah, everything to play for from this Springbok team. I can tell you, this is not a Springbok team going to Buenos Aires to go through the motions and have a kind of a dress rehearsal and a little bit of a warm-up. They are going out to beat the Pumas emphatically, and the players want to show that Rassie, that they are eligible for that first test against the All Blacks at Ellis Park.
Because it's been very little mileage at this level, Mike, and I fully agree with you that they have to be tested like everybody else, because like the last conversation we had, is that Rassie has got so many other players waiting in line to take over the mantle from some of these great players way into the 100 caps as well. But since that very famous eye gouging incident, obviously Eben has gone through that ban and has gone through, very little game time as well. So it's just as important for him as it is for somebody who's 10 years younger than him and, Sasha Feinberg and Gomezulu.
Yeah, absolutely. So Eben, you're quite right. He played in November last year against Wales and then had that ban. He came back for the Sharks in October, I think it was. Immediately banged his hip and then was out again. Then he was supposed to come back against England. Then apparently had a head knock in a Springbok training session. So since November last year, Eben has played 50 minutes of rugby. Is he now ready to play the All Blacks? Look, we know that the Springbok training sessions are famously physical and often players say they're tougher than actual matches themselves. But yeah, look, I mean, he's got to get onto the field. He's got to put up that jersey on. He's got to go out and show Rassie that he is the Eben of old, because this is the beautiful thing about the Springboks. No one can rest on their laurels. No one can just bank on their experience that they have in terms of test caps. You've got to show that you are still the best in your position. And Rassie has been blooding players all through the year. Look, Eben will know that he can't go out and just expect to get picked against the All Blacks. He's got to show that he's still the Eben of old. Same with Khaleesi, same with Lood de Jager. And another one that we need to talk about, Sasha van Berchem Gomezulu. Of course, he's not quite the same
Far
age
from old.
as Eben. He's not that old. However, he knows that he's also got to perform, because Manie Libbok is the next in line, and Manie played really well in the Nation Championship matches. Andre Pollard, of course, our pedigree from 2 World Cups. He's there too. But Sasha knows he's got to hit the groove, he's got to play, he's got to perform. All these guys have got to perform, because back in South Africa, in Johannesburg, there's 25 guys all training, practicing for that first All Blacks test. And Rassie has said to all these senior guys, if you perform, I will pick you. If you don't, I won't, because I've got another squad of guys waiting. And what a great position for South African rugby to be in.
And it's hard to believe, though. I mean, you talk about Sasha van Berchem Gomezulu, who's only, 24 years old, and the fact that he last played in May. I mean, he was injured in that URC quarterfinal against Cardiff and Cape Town. He's also just been the hallmark of what Springbok rugby should be and is all about. But the competition is there, Mike.
Yeah, look, Sasha, if he's on his game, is the number one Springbok fly half, and we know that now. And I mean, you get Springbok supporters saying, "Oh, but Andre won us 2 World Cups," and he did. But times change, and Sasha really, honestly, he is. I'll say this again. I think I've said it before on your show. He is the Richie Mo'unga that the All Blacks wish they had. He really is just kind of like a little bit of a one-off, a generational talent, and I have no worry that he is going to play a blinder against. He's just one of those guys that has got the talent, and he's got youth on his side. He doesn't need much time in the saddle. I think he knows that he's not special. Marnie's waiting in the sidelines. Sasha has to play. He has to play, and I think he will, because, like I say, a youngster, he doesn't need much time. The rust is not going to settle too long on that body.
And I know that they landed roundabout Sunday morning, time difference given, because they always travel in 2 different aircraft. I think they landed separately, with an hour's difference after midnight. They were given a day off just to acclimatize, because that time difference and the time zones play a very big factor. So you have to put your rest factor into it. But from where you stand, what makes Argentina, though, such a dangerous opponent on home soil, especially in Buenos Aires?
Yeah, look, I mean, I'm glad you asked that question, Rob, because Argentina are really a country on trial in a way in terms of their sport. They really are. I mean, the disgraceful scenes at the end of the Football World Cup, we all know and are well documented. Then they've had a couple of Nations Championship matches in which both the players and their crowd supporters behaved badly. I mean, we've had the crowd burning flags of the Union Jack against England just a couple of weeks ago in a Nation Championship match, holding up banners about the Malvinas, of course, their name for the Falklands Islands, which was the subject of a 1980s war between England and Argentina. We've had their coach getting banned, Gonzalo Quesada, for for abusing referees. We've had some of their players suspended after their last match, also for abusing referees. Thomas Albanos, the fly half, bumping into the referee after they controversially lost their last game. So Argentina sport really not in a good place, and what better place for them to strike back than to beat the world champion Springboks. So I can tell you now that the Pumas will be absolutely pumped up for this game, while understanding that they've got to actually put out a better look about their sport, because Argentina's rugby, soccer, call it what you like, they are a country who the world is looking at and thinking, come on guys, up your game on and off the field.
It's quite ironic, as you mentioned, that about Thomas Albaros when he was remonstrating with the referee Angus Gardner. It was literally, about 3 days after the Argentinians themselves were busy with punch-ups after the final of being unhappy. So it was one of those weekends that Argentina came to the fore, Mike, for all the bad reasons. Now, the big question is, can they resuscitate that? Can they regain the faith overall come the weekend? Or are the Springboks just a little too good for them?
I think the Springboks will beat them and beat them fairly soundly for the reasons that, look, Rassie and his coaching staff understand completely, and that players will have understood by proxy just how important it is that they sign off in this last game, as I said, the final test in a number of ways, before they play their next match, was their first test against the All Blacks at Ellis Park on August 22. They don't want to go into that game having lost a match. So they understand how vital it is that they win this game and win it well. And all the sounds coming from the Springbok camp is that they're not seeing this as just a warm-up. They're seeing this as a vital test match for senior players to show they've still got it, and for the team to set a marker before they go into that greatest rivalry term.
Mike, I know that we're out of time, but are there still any tickets left? I get people every day asking me if they can still go purchase tickets for one of the greatest showpieces in world rugby.
Not for the first test at Ellis Park, not for the second test in Cape Town, but there are still tickets available for the third test, which is at the F&B Stadium in Joburg. And yes, there are tickets for Baltimore in the USA. If you've got cash in the pocket for a long-distance flight.
Oh, my goodness. I think a lot of people are still recovering from the FIFA World Cup, going to the United States of America. But you know what, guys? Hey, we've seen worse. Football being played in Baltimore, USA, 11 p.m. kickoff. Save that money. Mike Greenaway and I will be collecting a couple of funds as well. Maybe we can make a plan there, Mike. What do you think?
Calling all sponsors.
You know the story. Well, looking forward, I do hear some rumblings that the Room Dividers should be back on radio pretty soon. We'll tell all our listeners and shareholders when that is going to happen. I look forward to that and all the conversations. Mike Greenaway, independent media, as well as rugby writer and author of A Springbok History, the Fireside Springbok, joining us right here on hashtag MSW Marawa Sports Worldwide. How ready are you for the Argentinian clash? But more importantly, all those games against the All Blacks. It all starts on Friday, hey? The DHL Stormers are going to be playing the All Blacks down in Cape Town. You saw what a warm welcome they received down in Cape Town. Much love, the All Blacks, but respect, I guess, and history comes a long way.
Marawa Sports Worldwide on 947, Monday to Friday from 6 to 7 p.m.
Hashtag